Hi YouTube, how's it going? It's Rob here, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about my favorite cards from this current standard. Magic the Gathering is going to be getting a new set in a couple of weeks called Ixalan, and whenever a new set of Magic comes out, a lot of times an old set will be discontinued for the new standard. And today I'm going to be going over my top 10 cards from this current standard. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you also enjoy my other videos that I provide for this channel. And let's get started. To start off this list, I'm going to be going over a couple of honorable mentions. The first one I'm going to talk about, Thraben Inspector. When it enters the battlefield, create a clue artifact token. You have to spend 2 mana and turn the token to sacrifice it. And with it you can draw 1 card from your deck. This card's a 1-drop, that's a 1/2. It's a common card from Shadows over Innistrad. The current sets that are going to be leaving once Ixalan arrives it's going to be Battle for Zendikar, Oath of the Gatewatch, Shadows over Innistrad, and Eldritch Moon. So a lot of these cards I'm going to be showing you guys are from those sets. The next card I'm going to show you guys is Oath of Nissa. This came from Oath of the Gatewatch. It's a one enchantment. That's a legendary enchantment, so you can only have one of these on the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 3 cards. You can get a creature, a land, or a planeswalker from among those, and place one of those cards into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library. You can also spend mana as those with any color mana to cast planeswalker spells. This is pretty much one of my favorite cards when Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch are out. I played a couple of decks that were very planeswalker heavy, and Oath of Nissa really came in help. It was really good for me. Another card. This is from Shadows over Innistrad. This is Westvale Abbi. It's a land card. It's a rare card. You can tap it to add 1 of any color to your mana pool. You can also pay 5 and turn it and pay 1 life to create a 1/1 white and black human cleric token to your battlefield. Also, when you have 5 or more creatures on the battlefield, you can also pay 5 mana and turn it, sacrifice 5 creatures, and you can transform it into Ormondal Profane Prince. Flying, lifelink, indestructible, and haste. A 9/7. Holy crap, was this thing a big thing to deal with. Lots of people love to play with this card, especially in I'm trying to think what kind of decks are really big with this deck. With this guy in this deck. Aristocrats. Which means you get little creatures, sacrifice them, make a big guy. Now this card right here, this one just came recent favorite of mine in my honorable mentions. This one's called Lone Rider. It's a 2-drop, 1/1 human knight with first strike and lifelink from Eldritch Moon. So here's with him. I played him in my horse deck, which I've been playing currently, and I've been gaining a lot of life. And if you get 3 or more life in 1 turn, you can transform this guy. And he comes into It That Rides as 1. It has first strike, trample, and lifelink. And it's a 4/4. This guy right here is a very powerful card for my horse deck. It was very good, very fast, easy to get out, and easy to transform. And here's a card that I played when I played Landfall. This is back between Battle for Zendikar and Shadows over Innistrad. This card is called Tireless Tracker. It's a 3-drop human scout. When a land enters the battlefield, create a clue, which also means investigate, which means you create a clue. Then, whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a counter on Tireless Tracker. It's a 3/2. A lot of people play this card in Delirium. Well, I played this guy in Landfall, and During that time, it was really powerful. I really enjoyed that card. The final card I'm going to go over for my honorable mentions is Emulting Glare. It's a 2 instant destroy target attacking creature. When I played Bant Humans, Cats, and other white decks, Emulting Glare was normally in my deck. I didn't have it in the horse deck, but what can I say? Instant spells that destroys target attacking creatures is pretty good. So let me get started now on my top 10 list. Let's start off with number 10. Number 10 is Tamia, Field Researcher. She is a 4-drop planeswalker. Her +1 ability is choose up to 2 target creatures. Until your next turn, whenever either of those creatures deal combat damage, you draw a card. Then she also has a -2 ability. That means tap up to 2 target non-land permanents. They do not untap during their controller's next untap step. Then there's -7. Draw 3 cards. You get an emblem. You may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana costs. And she came from Eldritch Moon. Tamia, when I played Bant Humans, back when Bant Humans was the big thing with Collected Company, back when Dragons of Tarkir was in, Tamia was a big help in the deck, I believe. A lot of people didn't like Tamia, but I did. Tamia was very good. It's a very powerful card, and that's why she earns my 10 spot on my top 10 list. Okay, so number 9. This is a tie between 2 cards. Those 2 cards are Bruna the Fading Light, and Gisela the Broken Blade. Both of these cards meld together, which means you take this one card and put them together. And you create a meld card. For instance, this one's called Gisela, Voice of Nightmares. Let me do some background history. First, this card came out in Eldritch Moon. Same with this card. They both came out in Eldritch Moon. I never got this from my Eldritch Moon box. I actually had to purchase these online. Gisela is a really big help in my horse deck because she has lifelink, and also I combined her with many other cards, and I was able to deal tons of damage, and she was able to survive a lot of damage. And then here comes Bruna. Bruna helped me out during my Bant Humans back in Eldritch Moon, and also she helped me currently with my horse deck, because she searches out for Gisela. And then when you combine the two, you make this ginormous monstrosity known as Gisela, Voice of Nightmares. Basically, it has every power combined into it. Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, and your opponent can't cast spells with 3 or less converted mana cost. And I was able to cast this card during my turn with the horse deck. And what can I say? When you got this big monstrosity on the battlefield, you can't be defeated. So that's why number 9 belongs to both Gisela and Bruna. Now here comes my number 8 pick. A lot of people will probably think this pick will be much higher than you think, but only ranks 8th on my list. And that card belongs to Gideon Allies Zendikar. This 4-drop planeswalker, if you plus him, he becomes a human soldier with indestructible, and it's a 5/5, and he can prevent all damage dealt to him. He also has a 0 ability. You create a 2/2 white knight ally onto the battlefield, and he also has his -4 ability. You get an emblem. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Gideon has probably been in pretty much every single deck since his debut in Battle for Zendikar. And Gideon has also had many different versions of himself. For instance, in Omnicraft, he has Gideon of the Trials, which is now our current Gideon after the standard leagues. Gideon has helped me out in many different decks. Gideon helped me out in the cat deck. He also has helped me in my allies deck when I first came to Battle for Zendikar and Earth of the Gatewatch. He has also helped me in Bant Humans. Gideon has helped me out in pretty much a lot of my white version decks. The only deck I have not placed Gideon in is my horse deck, which is actually he's not necessary. I do have him in the side, but I haven't really had to use him. That's why Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, is my number 8 pick. My next pick is going to be number 7. And that belongs to this guy right here, Crypt Breaker, a 1-drop zombie which has an ability of paying 1 in a black to discard and tapping him. To discard 1 card from your hand to create a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. And also you can tap up to 3 other zombies. You draw 1 card and lose 1 life. This guy's a 1/1. I played zombies first in Shadows over Innistrad with many different kinds of zombies. And during Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon, I was playing zombies. And they were okay. I mean, they weren't that good, unfortunately, as I thought. Then Amonkhet arrived, and zombies all of a sudden were big again. And that's when Crypt Breaker became a big hit in my deck. I played black-white zombies during Amonkhet, and during Shadows over Innistrad, I played black and blue zombies. Both of those decks were very powerful, and I believe, and Crypt Breaker was definitely a card that was definitely a big help in those decks. So that's why Crypt Breaker is number 7 for my top 10 favorite cards from the standard. The next card is number 6 on my list, and that rank belongs to Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, a 3-drop Planeswalker. She has a +1 ability of you create a 0/1 plant token creature. Then she has a -2 ability. You put a counter on every creature you control. And then she also has a -7 ability. You gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of lands you control. And she also starts out with 3 loyalty. Nissa played a big part in my allies deck. She has also played a big part in my energy deck. Nissa has also played a big part in werewolves that I played with. She has also played a big role in landfall. Nissa basically was in my deck from all the way from Oath of the Gatewatch when she first arrived, all the way up to about Aether Revolt. And after Aether Revolt, I changed up my decks a little bit, which pushed her to the side. Nissa is pretty good. I mean, a lot of people will say she's decent. I think she's really good. And from her time since Oath of the Gatewatch, Nissa played a pretty powerful role in my decks. That is why Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, is my number 6 pick. Now we're going to be in the top 5 of my favorite cards from this current standard. To start off with number 5, I have Stasis Snare. And it's a 3-drop enchantment, which has flash. And when it enters the battlefield, you have to exile 1 target creature on your opponent's side until Stasis Snare is removed from the field. Stasis Snare has been played since Battle for Zendikar, and a lot of decks carry Stasis Snare, especially to stop creature-heavy decks. When Stasis Snare came to me, I had a couple during Battle for Zendikar, and I had a few, at least 1 or 2 in my allies deck. I have also had a few in my cat deck. I also had like 1 or 2 in my black-white zombies deck. But where it really came in handy was my mono-white horse deck. I was basically able to stop plenty of different threats with this card. I was also able to win a lot of the games too, thanks to Stasis Snare. I mean, I was getting rid of Torrential Gearhulks, I was getting rid of Planeswalkers, I was returning the creatures, I got rid of more powerful creatures. Stasis Snare is very handy, and that's why Stasis Snare is the top 5. It's the top 5 card in my top 10 standard cards from this set. For my number 4 spot, I have Arlen Cord. Arlen Cord is a 4-drop planeswalker. He has a +1 ability. Until the end of the turn, target creature gains Vigilance and +2/+2 and haste until the end of the turn. And she also has a 0 ability. Put a 2/2 wolf creature onto the battlefield and then transform Arlen. And when you transform Arlen, she becomes Arlen, embraced by the moon. She has a +1 ability. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and trample until the end of the turn. She also has a -1 ability. That -1 ability is deal 3 damage to target creature or player and transform it back into the human version of Arlen. And also you get, for her -6 ability, you get an emblem. Creatures you control have haste, and you can turn them. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Arlen made her debut in Shadows over Innistrad, and Arlen was pretty powerful if you're playing werewolves. I played her during my werewolf deck during that time, and she was really good. What I think she really did well for me is when I started going to Kaladesh in Aether Revolt. She played a big part in my electrostatic pummeler deck. A lot of people didn't expect Arlen to come into the pummeler deck. I put her in, and I was winning at least 75% of the time when she was on the field electrostatic pummeler. Because I +2 the pummeler, and I have like a lot of energy on the field. And as soon as I plus them, subtract the energy, subtract the energy, subtract the energy, and attack. And a lot of times, no one was able to stop the pummeler at that time. But then when I got away from energy once Amonkhet arrived, Arlen was pushed to the side in my energy deck. But from that time, Arlen Cord played a big part in my deck, and that's why she is number 4 on my top 10 list. Now we are in the top 3 of my favorite cards from this current standard. And for the number 3 spot, that belongs to Diagraph Colossus, a 3-drop creature zombie giant. When he enters the battlefield, he gets +1/+1 for each zombie you have in your graveyard. And whenever you cast a zombie spell, create a 2/2 black zombie token that comes in tapped, and it's a 2/2. When this came out during Shadows over Innistrad, Diagraph Colossus is probably an average zombie, a lot of people thought. But he really did well once Amonkhet zombies arrived. Pretty much with him and also another card I'll be talking about later, Diagraph Colossus was a powerful card. I mean, a lot of times zombie cards have a lot of them in the graveyard, which have abilities to bring them back from the graveyard. And Diagraph Colossus was a great part in that. I mean, if you have a lot of zombies in your graveyard, he gets like a ton of counters. And you're playing a lot of different zombie spells, you get zombie tokens in return. Diagraph Colossus was played for me during the Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon set. Also, he came back during my black-white zombies during Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation. And that's why Diagraph Colossus belongs in the number 3 spot for my top 10 cards from this standard. Now it's time for the runner-up from this standard, and that belongs to Relentless Dead. It is 2 black, zombie that's a mythic that came from Shadows over Innistrad. It has Menace, and when it dies, you may pay 1 swamp to return him back to your hand. And then also when it dies, you may pay X and return target zombie creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with X converted mana. What can I say? Relentless Dead, when he first made his debut for zombie decks in Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon, He was probably one of the most expensive zombies on the market. When I first saw this guy, I first saw him in Shadows over Innistrad Limited. I participated in a two-headed giant with a buddy of mine, and he pulled Relentless Dead, and he played zombies during that limited period. Now, he had a pretty powerful deck, and since that day of seeing Relentless Dead and also seeing it spoiled online, there's a card I really wanted to play. So I finally got my chance to play with Relentless Dead after I picked up a couple of packs and pulled him. Then I got into the whole zombie tribal deck, and he was really good. Not really good. Excellent. Just a very excellent card. I pushed away from zombies during the Kaladesh block, and then I came back with it briefly during the Amonkhet block. And during the Amonkhet block and Hour of the Devastation block, this is when Relentless Dead and a lot of other zombies came up and performed great. It totally eliminated how bad zombies were in Shadows over Innistrad. Pretty much everybody was playing zombies during Amonkhet. And Relentless Dead, Diagraph Colossus, Crypt Breaker, so many different zombie spells, so many different zombies. Ugh. Everywhere you looked from Amonkhet was zombie, zombie, zombie. It was one of the best meta decks around. I mean, 4 of these in your deck, plus all the other zombie support. Man, you got a great deck right there. So that's why Relentless Dead is my number 2 favorite spot on my top 10 list of this current standard. Alright you guys, the time has finally come. It's time to reveal my favorite card from this current standard. And that belongs to this card right here. Always Watching. It's a 3-drop enchantment. Non-creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and Vigilance. This card. When I first started playing white cards, this first started with Bant Humans. And Always Watching makes all your normal creatures, non-token creatures, have Vigilance and +1/+1. Vigilance has to be probably one of my favorite keywords of all time, which means your creatures don't tap during when they attack. So you can attack, and after you're done, you can bring them back and they're ready to block. Always Watching pretty much was in a lot of the decks that required white with me. They are in humans, they were in zombies briefly, once Amonkhet arrived, but they were in Kaladesh for a little bit for me, they were in Aether Revolt for a little bit, but the decks that really helped me with this card was my cat deck and my horse deck. With the horses, I have 6/6 horses, not including the tokens. I have big cats, attacking, destroying everything, gaining a lot of life. Always Watching provided so much help for me during all this time when it first arrived on Shadows over Innistrad. When I first saw the card online, I was very happy. And a lot of cards needed a card like this, like to help them don't tap. Like another deck that was really needed this card was the Exert decks. Any card that was basically exert this, which also means it doesn't tap until your next turn. So like if you have Bruna Bruno, exert him, deal 4 damage to a non-dragon creature, and then after you've gone attacking with them, whoop, he's untapped, he's ready to go for blocking. Or let's say Glory Bounty Initiative. That's a 2-drop white creature with exert. When you exert him, he has +3/+1, and he has lifelink. So you tap him for exert. Oops, you have Always Watching, so it's a 5/5. Whoop. Now you're back in the blocking position. Now he's back to being a 4/2. Always Watching became a great card for me in almost all of my decks that I provided with white. Nothing else really to say, but Always Watching is my favorite card from this current standard. So there you have it, everyone. that is my top 10 list of the current standard that we currently have. That's my favorite cards from this current standard. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now I'll probably provide another video like this once Kaladesh and Amonkhet leave. But that's probably not going to be for a long time. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. And I hope you all have a great day.